I've been podcasting since 2018, and I've learned a thing or three about podcasting that I want to share with you today. What we're covering today are three pre-checks that you may have missed before you hit record. So we're going to cover all three, and I also have a bonus tip for you at the end of our episode that you don't want to miss. So today we're going to be talking about three important pre-checks that you might have forgotten before hitting that record button. And I want to stress that doing these simple steps can make the quality of your podcast night and day. And I want to stress that doing these three simple steps can make a huge, massive difference in the quality of your recordings and the overall production value of your podcast. So let's get into it. The first one is checking your mic. I know it sounds silly, but I've actually done it even recently where I recorded a whole podcast episode, a whole bunch of intros, and a whole bunch of content, and my mic was not even plugged in properly. I had the mic connected, but I didn't switch the right setting. So whether you're just starting out or whether you've been doing this for a long time, making sure that you have the correct mic setting, the correct video setting, and all of the above plugged in properly is absolutely crucial. It might seem really obvious, but it's actually really easy to overlook this step. And what you want to do to make sure that you don't miss it is by checking the physical connection of your actual microphone plugged into the actual computer, and then check the microphone settings on whatever platform you're recording on. You want to make sure that the cord that you're using is also working properly as well. And then what you can do is a very quick sound check to make sure that the sound actually sounds good. And you can do this by listening to the playback on it. So this way you can catch any issues with the mic, anything at all that may have gone wrong. Maybe that sounds staticky, that is not connected properly, a cord or a wire is loose, whatever the problem is. You will be able to catch it before you hit that record button and distort your sound and all of the above. So that's the first one. The second one is clapping to sync your tracks. Now, there's two ways that I would recommend using your claps. Okay, so the first way is by syncing your audio and video. So if you're recording on different softwares, your microphone is separate from your camera. If you clap, then you're aligning, you're helping your editor or you're helping yourself align your tracks together so that you can find exactly where it begins, and you'll save so much time on the actual syncing up of your files. Another way that you can use your clap is anytime you want to start and stop a segment. Anytime maybe you've made a mistake where you need to pick back up, where you're pausing to take a longer break, that indicates to whoever's editing your episodes that, hey, spike in audio, something going on here. It might be a start stop. We're not really sure, but it draws your eye to it so that you can keep track of it. So that is a really cool way to make sure that you're A, syncing your audio and your video, and B, notifying your editor or yourself of any places where you've stopped, where you've started again, and so on. And I know it sounds silly, and I know it sounds very easy, and I know that it sounds maybe more common sense, but trust me, this little trick and doing this little trick is going to save you a ton of time and a ton of frustration later on when you're going to sync your tracks and when you're going to edit your episode. Now, the last thing that we are going to talk about is this third piece here of actually turning on your equipment and ensuring there's a connection. So when I was coming up with this episode, my lead editor on my team, Emily, and I, we were talking about some of the things that people do and some of the things that clients forget to do. And this was one of the things that came top of mind, which you would think it wouldn't, but it actually does. Before you start rolling, before you start recording, you want to take a minute just to take a look at all of your recording equipment and make sure that everything is connected properly and that everything is recording properly. This includes your mic, any audio interface that you're using, your computer, any video cam, any DSLR camera, any switch decks, anything at all. You want to make sure that it's turned on and that it's working properly. Double check that your software is set up properly and that you're actually recording to the right location on your hard drive, to the right external drive, to the right SD card, and so on. You want to make sure that that process is airtight so that every single time you connect your equipment and every single time you turn on your equipment to hit record, that you have a smooth production process, because it is going to save you so much time in your pre-production and also in your post-production by following these tips. The last thing that we're going to touch on, and this is a little bit of a bonus tip, is setting up your recording space. So if you're watching this on YouTube right now, my set is not my typical set. This is not where I normally am, but I want to make sure that it's clean. I want to make sure it's free of distractions. I want to make sure that it looks nice, right? So While we're on the topic of doing your different pre-checks, let's not forget to pre-check our actual recording space. Take a look around your set, take a look at your background, and make sure that things are arranged and placed in the way that you want them to be placed. Now, if you're recording with video, you might want to consider adding a couple of other elements, right? Do you want to put a plant behind you? Maybe you want a picture, a photo, some shelves, whatever that looks like. You can absolutely do that, and you can set your backdrop however you would like it to look. So these are my 3 tips. I'm going to recap them for you very, very quickly. The first one is make sure that you're checking your mic. The second one is clap to sync your tracks together. The third is actually turning on your equipment and testing it all before you hit record. And then my bonus tip for you is to make sure that you have your recording space set up the way in which you like it and that looks good for you. So there you have it. Very simple, very quick episode for you today. 3 recording pre-checks that you might have forgotten before you hit record.